the CRT TV is becoming more of a relic as we go into the future of OLED and LED, micro LED. But in the lower right-hand corner here, we have a 30-inch Sony Trinitron Vega TV that I purchased at a recent garage sale. You'll see in my garage here. And I was just curious to compare the two, that little Samsung modern LED monitor compared to this big Goliath behemoth of a TV. This thing is like 200 pounds. I have to put it on a dolly in order to carry it. So what is the reason for the CRT craze? It's really the fact that it has a lower latency, and also you can get richer colors and things like that because the games at the time were built for this technology, and the frequency in which these TVs are running at really contributes to a really clean picture on this screen. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at CRTs really quick. There are a lot of different companies that made flat screen TVs, RCA, Toshiba, Sony, many others. But the Sony Trinitron was definitely one that people really like. I think it's both the build quality, but also the settings, but also the technology at the time as well. It was very well-made TV, and these are the ones that are well sought after. So if it has this logo, it was used between 1992 and the 2000s. But these were the later models of those. And you notice it doesn't look like mine. These are 4:3, so it's more of a square than a rectangle. And those are actually really good for the retro gaming. You'll see you have stereo speakers. It doesn't show you in this picture, but you have a ton of settings in the settings menu. And you actually have kind of a flat screen here. Depending on when you buy your Trinitron, it might have a flat. It might be a little bit more curved. But those are some of the best. Now, the monitor I'm actually using in this video is actually the FD Trinitron, and so the FD Trinitron line featured key standard improvements over the prior Trinitron designs, including a finer pitch, an electric gun with greater focal length for center focus, and an improved deflective yoke. So that's good for like watching movies and stuff, but it's not necessarily better for retro gaming. And you'll notice that a lot of them were widescreen. They went from a 4:3 to a 16:9 screen, and that's the one I'm using in this video. But there are some 4:3s out there as well. They come in both. And they have, look at that, so many. There's a lot of different options. But something I did find out from my research is a lot of people are saying that the FD Trinitron, if you want to do like old school duck hunt and light gun games, that is not going to work on this. But the benefits are you have a much newer TV and you have newer outputs and upscaling up to 1080i. So if you're going to be watching DVDs or doing some other things, it definitely has some advantages as well. So just see what you're going into, see what kind of inputs, outputs they have, see the resolution they have, and then read the reviews online. There's a huge community around this whole, retro gaming CRT TV craze. So this is the Sony Trinitron WD that I picked up. Look at those outputs on the back. It even has an HDMI. But there's some specs on the screen here. I got this one at an estate sale for very little money. Check your local like Craigslist and online stuff. Estate sales have these all the time for very little. But this one, I barely made it in my Honda Civic. It was like 200 pounds. But this next part of the video is what makes these TVs so awesome, which is just what you could do and changes you can make on the settings. If you're wondering, video 2, I can get rid of that if I have a remote. I don't have a remote right now. But you can still get to the menu system here. Great speakers, by the way. Phenomenal. But different modes here. We're on movie right now. Let's just see what this does to the viewing really quick. You can kind of see it in the background as I change this. So standard, much brighter. Vivid is just ridiculously bright. So you can see what's actually happening to the, I want to call it to the settings there, to the manual settings. I want to call it equalizer, right? So I don't like vivid, man. It's bright though. If you're like across the room, you need it bright. But I like some depth, and you can even just see in like the in the menu itself that like it gets better with a little bit more darkness. So I was on movie before. Pro just lets you do it all by manual. So in standard, and as far as the mode, and but what I want, and then audio is just effects. They have wow. What's the True Sound Simulator? Wow, off. Fuller, richer sound.
simulation stereo for mono sources. That's pretty cool. So a lot of older video game systems were mono, so you could simulate it into stereo, which is cool. And then true surround. Okay, and then so what is wow? Wow, fuller, richer sound. So some sort of synthetic, equalizer thing. You can turn them on and off. You can turn the bass up and down. Oh, does that just change this? Let me see. Let's go look up. Yeah, it doesn't actually change the treble or bass. So it actually literally is something else going on there. Okay. All right, so screen. Here's where it gets crazy. So there's the screen mode, and then there's the 4:3 default. So this adjusts the picture size, and then this automatic sizing for 4:3 pictures. So right now, I think we're on 4:3 because that's the input, right? That's what PlayStation 2 are outputted. So you can see though we can zoom wide, and we can literally get the whole screen in here. But let me go ahead and turn this off really quick. You can see that the screen is getting cut off a little bit though. Remember before the accept button, there's another about inch underneath that, but super playable here, especially if you want like a wide screen. So that's really cool that if you want the full 30-inch experience of this TV, you can utilize that instead of having the black bars, right? So that is cool. You are stretching the image though. So for those purists, you're like, well, that's not how they wanted you to stream it. And don't forget, you can also scroll down to here and actually adjust the screen left to right if it's cutting off something important that you want to see in the game. You could change that there. Now let's go ahead and go back to, so that's wide zoom. Normal would just be the 4:3. Full, full actually. Okay, so wide stretches. Full, you're actually seeing the 4. It's perfectly aligned actually. It's perfect. You see the whole entire screen here, and nothing is cut off. So there you go. I think the wide you'd want to do maybe on a movie or something like that, but that would stretch it. So full is pretty sick. You get to go ahead and do a full screen on these games, and then zoom is going to be even more than the wide zoom. It's really zoomed in. I don't know why you'd want to use that mode. Maybe if there's something that just isn't quite fitting correctly. Yeah, not sure. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead and go with full, so you have the full screen here. And what other setups do we have? Caption vision off, info banner. I turned this off. Oh, did it finally turn? Oh, no. Okay, yeah. The video 2 keeps showing up. I think I need a remote to get rid of that because it won't get rid of when you use it there. Video labels is just like when you go to TV in different video modes. That's about it.
As far as the sound goes, on the PlayStation 2, I found no difference between using True Surround or WoW or turning it off. I think the simulator would be cool, though, if you do have like a mono signal. It'd be really cool to kind of see how it turns it into stereo. So obviously this experiment is not the greatest. I mean, I'm recording this through a camera who's recording this at 1080p. Obviously the lighting is something, and also I wasn't able to mimic the brightness perfectly. You can see the LED's a little brighter. Like maybe I should have, tuned that down a little bit more. But I felt like this was the best kind of representation because this game does have a lot of shadowing and things like that. So you'll notice it actually changes quite a bit as you're playing the game. So what do I think about all this? Is it worth going out and buying a CRT TV? I think if you're a serious retro gamer, hell yeah. I think you should be very patient though, because these things come up. Like, don't get in a rush to just go grab one. They come up. People just want to get rid of them. Do check that it works though. Always test it. Otherwise, you're bringing a huge paperweight home. And, if you go on eBay, the parts for these things are ridiculously expensive. I need to buy a remote for this one. It didn't have a remote, but I looked on eBay. I could get one for $12, the original one from Sony. So, things like remotes are easy to get, but make sure it works. So it looks amazing. I can definitely see, like, if you're a world Tetris champion trying to practice for Tetris, or you just have a lot of old retro consoles, I could definitely see a huge benefit in doing this. They look great. You get that less input lag. And then, these games were built for this technology, right? So it's just like anything. When you want to play like old PC games, it's hard to install them on Windows 11, right? Because those games were made for a much different operating system at the time. So, it's kind of the whole thing of matching the software with the hardware to have a more pure experience, and I could definitely get behind that. Now, do know these things are massive. This thing was 200 pounds. I could barely pick it up myself. Really, you need at least 2 people. I was able to fit this in a Honda Civic, which was ridiculous. I had to really maneuver that passenger seat to get it in. But if you could come across one, it's a really cool experience, and I think they look cool too. If I've seen people's game rooms and things like that, I think adding this to that is pretty cool. So, anyways, that's what I think. Let me know what you all think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.